Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. We are once again in the car, which means we have seen yet another new film. The new film that we saw this week was none other than the thriller action movie Monkey Man. Without further ado, DJ, 1 to 10.
5.
Okay. I give this film a 3. Like, the longer that I'm away from the film, the lower that the score is getting for me. I didn't really enjoy this one. Some of the art direction is really well done. Some of the set designs are pretty cool. Some of the shots that they do are really creative and unique. But then sometimes it's just a little over the top. It can be really hard to follow. The story's kind of complicated, but it doesn't really explain it extremely well. There's a lot of times in this movie that you just kind of feel lost. And then not only do you feel lost, you feel extremely disoriented just because of the way that they shot the film. So you're lost and disoriented in a movie theater. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I really was hoping that this film would be more exciting and interesting. The choreography is fantastic. The acting is pretty well done. And it seems like most of the film is put together well. It's just, it wasn't pieced together fully, and as a result, I didn't really care for this film much. How about you, DJ?
Opposite. I understood and followed the film well. Like, I understood what was going on the entire time. Like, the links between all the characters and everything.
Well, I mean, I got that. It didn't make a lot of sense on, like, why is he going, like, all the way after this guy when he's only after the police chief. How is it that he's also after this, like, prophet guy? How does this, like, all tie in together, and why everything is happening the way that it's happening?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go through it, and then spoilers, I'll go through it. Okay, so my main issue with the film, actually, is it takes way too long to get to the point. And when it finally does get to the point, it happens really, really fast. He has this, like, coming. There's 3 main phases in this film, and the first phase takes up like 3/4 of the film.
Right.
And then the last quarter is like the other 2 phases, and it's just a little too fast. It's a little slow in the build up. There's a lot of issues that I have with. It suffers from what a lot of, like, the Fast and Furious films, some of those films suffer from. Taking too long to escape, just to get kidnapped. We had this problem, I think, with Indiana Jones and Crystal Skull. It's like, get away just to get. You're showing action scenes for the sake of action scenes, but they don't mean anything because nothing actually comes out of them that matters.
That's fair.
There's a lot of that in the first half of the film. It didn't really learn from other films that have made the same mistake, and then. It's, like, unnecessarily gory at some points. There's a lot of they're, like, showing, like, a montage of pictures on the wall, and, like, blood's, like, splattering on them. I'm just like, okay, I get that's a scene shot, but that's more like a horror slasher film thing than an action film. You're not focusing on the fighting or on him or what's going on. It constantly focuses off the side like you do in a slasher film, which is kind of distracting for an action thriller when you're trying to follow the character, and it keeps showing an off-screen thing over and over and over again. It's like, okay, I get it. He's killing these people. You've made that very clear. Give me the reason. Give me the point. There's a lot of that in this film. And it all happens all at the same time. But like you said, the cinematography is there's a lot of really good shooting in here, a lot of good scene setting. The acting's really good, especially the non-verbal acting. This is some of the best non-verbal acting I've seen in a while, where there's a lot of just the nods, the facial expressions, the body language, like making it clear what's happening. That was done really well. There's also a significantly heavy-handed India is bad, like, in here. It's really, I get it, you're trying to show, like, the plight of the people, but it's a little heavy-handed with it, and it keeps reiterating it over and over and over again. And one of the points of a revenge film, I've always felt, is to pull yourself up from that. But even when he's winning, even when the hero is doing well, it's still like heavy fisting, like, well, it doesn't matter, everything's still bad. It feels pointless and hopeless throughout the film, is what I would say.
Well, it kind of does. And the other thing, too, is that there's a very strong message in it that's like, the people in and of themselves don't realize that they are not only helping, but fueling their own oppression.
Yeah.
There's a really strong sentiment of that in the fact that the liberating party is literally run by the people who like burn down villages and force people into worse situations.
Yeah.
And they're the people that are in control already, and they want the people to re-elect them, essentially, because the people that are endorsing them are the people that are already in power, and the people that are already in power are the ones that are actually oppressing the people, and the people continue to be oppressed. It is a very dark film in that sense, and there is a lot of messaging in it. It's just a thing of like, I wish that they may have been a bit clearer in some of the reasoning behind the characters' motivations sometimes. Obviously, there's a thick revenge plot where it comes to like, he is trying to avenge the death of his mother and the burning down of his village, but there's not really an explanation on why the village was even being burned down in the first place.
They do later on in the film, but it's still never made. Yeah, there's.
Well, it shows who did it and who's behind it, not why.
It does.
Or what the benefit was.
It does.
What was the benefit?
They built a factory.
I guess. Well, no, that kind of. Then that got a lot of stuff. Then had to have been buried in like throwaway pieces of dialogue, because literally that bit of dialogue happens in a TV interview in the background of a scene.
That is correct. That's where a lot of the exposition happens in this film.
Which is creative, but it's also not very good, because the problem is that, yes, I heard it, and I was like, okay, so he's creating like villages and stuff when he's like disposing people,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize it was this kid's village.
Let's just this is a small film. Let's just do spoilers. I'm not really worried about spoiling this one that much. This will be maybe like a partial spoiler review, such as some warnings.
Before we get into spoilers.
Go ahead.
Before we get into spoilers, we're just going to straight up tell you guys, this film really is not worth the time. You don't really benefit anything from watching it in the theater, so if you are curious about the film and you want to watch it to see for yourself, wait until it shows up on streaming at least, or when it's free on Prime or something like that. It's really not worth the money to go to the theaters. So, just putting it bluntly for you guys, this is why we're going to move into spoilers. It is not worth your time. But what is worth your time? Liking this video, letting us know your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribing and sharing us with your friends. Otherwise, we will move into now spoilers. Spoilers.
Okay.
I'm not even going to bother.
No, so the main motivation of the character, it shows it very early in the film. It shows that it makes it clear who the villain is and why. It shows his silhouette in front of his burning village, and it makes it clear. And he keeps seeing flashes of his mom being beat to death.
Right.
And then it makes it clear about a third of the way through the film that the religious guy was the one who called for it to be done.
It wasn't a third of the way through the film. That was like 3/4 of the way into the film.
No, it's a third of the way through. It shows that he was the one that did it. Then it shows the reason he did it way even later. The reason being that he, because it says earlier, like fairly early in the film, it's talking in the newsreels. It's going, the people have been pushed off the land rights disputes over the religious rights of this land, and the religious leader took this land. It says that early on. And then later on, he's in an interview, and then he says, yeah, it's for, what did you do it for? Oh, it's for the factories, and they're not slave labor. They're my followers, disciples. Yeah, like it's showing that he's part of the corruption. Like it makes it clear he's part of the corruption really early, because it shows, from humble roots, now he's with the elites. It's like, he's one of the corrupted people. He's with them. So like, there's a lot of imagery throughout the film that shows everyone's place in the story and where they are. But it's all in newsreels, background. It's all in the background. And it's just really cleverly done. I thought it was really cleverly done. You have to pay attention to this film because if you miss anything, every piece of dialogue matters.
I was paying attention, TJ. Like, I was paying attention. It literally is like they put it in the background when he's doing something important too.
That's what I said. Every single bit of dialogue. I noticed everything.
There's only so much.
I noticed every single thing. I'm sorry. I can compartmentalize apparently. But I caught all of it. I understood all the motivations. My issues was not with any of that because I followed the plot. I thought it was well done and put together. My problem with it is that 3/4 of the film is him wimping out getting revenge till before he finally does anything. Like, this is built up to be like a John Wick film where, like, it's like a person trampled on, like, who has skills, like, comes back, you know, and beats people up or revenge him, like Beekeeper, kicking it back to the people in charge. But it takes forever to get there. In fact, for the most of the movie, he's got the crap beat out of him by everybody. And then there's no consistency in power scaling. Earlier on, he beats the crap out of, like, the cops and gets out and then gets shot. And then he has to go all this training and, like, takes a drug to become, like, superhuman to be slightly better than he was in some aspects, but way better in the others. It's very confusing and inconsistent. That was where I lost it when it's like, okay, I expected him to come back and literally just in the very beginning of the fight after he comes back from his training, he kicks butt, like, really well, and then he just starts slipping. And then it turns into a one-on-one slow fight with the bad guy. And he's just like, eh. Like, it gets really, I get it, that's a good, well shot. That goes back to kind of like the Jet Li fighting with, Chuck Norris. Kind of a scene where it's slow to ramp up. The difference is the films that was done in ramp up slowly throughout. This one showed him right before going ham, and then suddenly he's fighting slowly. It was a weird...
Well,
it doesn't fit. It feels like it doesn't fit very well.
Well, he was getting tired and injured, and he was getting injured faster.
Well, and then he hesitates. That was he hesitated to kill the cop the first time. Second time, he just does it. Then he gets to the religious leader guy and then hesitates again. And I'm like, you just killed like 15 people back there. This is like in a video game where you killed like 100 people, get to the boss, and then want to show them mercy. It's like, you done already killed his men.
So, so with that...
Why are you hesitating now?
Well, okay, so the first one... He hesitated because, one, he'd never actually, like, killed anybody.
That one made sense.
Then he kills him later. The reason he hesitated with the religious leader was because of what the religious leader said. The religious leader literally disarmed him and was like, oh, I wouldn't hurt anybody. Look at this. I don't intend to hurt people, just like this devout person with the shoes. And... oh, we just need to stop this circle of violence because ultimately what are we going to do? We're just going to fuel even more. It's going to become even worse. You've only made it worse and prolonged the suffering of people. It made him reflect on what
I know, but I was waiting for him to just punch him in the
were.
face.
But the thing is that the guy literally just made him question his actions and be like, what is the actual impact of this? While disarming him. Because who would have expected that the shoes that are made by somebody who literally doesn't want to hurt anything on earth has a hidden knife in the little toe thing?
Yeah, well, he pulled the nails out, yeah.
Yeah, so he literally disarmed him and then made him think so that he could get the upper hand.
It was a really...
he couldn't fight.
I know, it was a good scene. I'm not saying it was... The problem is what immediately came before it. Like, the end roller coaster is a little too much for me. It gets very inconsistent. But I don't know. I followed the plot. I had no issue with the plot or the reasoning or his like purpose and drive. Like, I caught all the background stuff. I don't know. It's hard. I'm having a hard time like articulating my issue with the film. It's just like I tried to do everything and ended up being nothing. I think this is one of the problems, that this film wanted to be like a social commentary, a political film, a revenge film, a thriller, a film about somebody with a traumatic past, all at the same time, and it couldn't focus on any one, because at some points sometimes it's focusing on his like mental inhibitions due to his past. Sometimes it's focusing on the combat. Sometimes it's focusing on the political corruption. But it's just bouncing around like crazy, like a yo-yo.
Well, this film kind of is one of those things where it seems like they bit off more than they could chew, but at the same time, it's like they just took a really big bite and didn't take the time to actually process it and actually chew it. So what we end up with is we just end up with fire hose effect, where yes, there's a lot of stuff in here, and they technically chewed it enough for us to swallow it, but it's the uncomfortable, like, I'm rushing to not properly chew it and process it.
I think this is the reason why all of us who watched it like got kind of a different feel from it.
Yeah.
Because there was like you missed some of the background stuff. I didn't. I caught that, but that's the thing. You're right. It's so much fire hose that if you're not able to,
well, either you see everything and you can't chew through it, or you see like the big important stuff and you chew through it, but you miss something that actually makes it
right.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
I
the thing,
saw
like,
everything, so I just got overwhelmed. I was like, there was too much going on in this film. I noticed everything, but that made it hard for me to focus on the parts that mattered. Like, there were parts of the film, like, I was interested in the scenery, but I was distracted by the exposition in the background. Or I was interested in the exposition in the background, but what was happening in the foreground was distracting me. And you're making it difficult for me to focus on multiple things at once, because you're literally just, it's like you're sitting there, someone's sitting there and just throwing baseballs at you constantly. And you're just trying to catch as many as you can. Well, even if you catch them all, if you catch every ball, you still don't know what happened. Like, what was that?
Well, and the way that the film is filmed, it's like trying to catch a bunch of baseballs hurtling at you while wearing drunk goggles.
Yeah.
Because half of the film literally is out of focus, or it's micro-focused.
Yeah, there's a lot, and there was a long section of shaky. I really liked,
I like shaky cam.
They did one of the best use cases I've ever seen for shaky cam, where he came in, like, he was beat to heck, he was horribly disoriented, and it was doing a really good job of making you feel the same way, but it went on so long and started getting dizzy and sick from it. Actually, like, physically ill. Because it was gone on so long, I was getting motion sickness.
Oh, it had to have been like a 5 to 7 minute section of film that's literally just in shaky cam. But even when he stops, the camera's still doing this. And it works if you like steady it while he's like being chaotic, and then when he stops, you kind of like keep going a little bit. This film section was literally 7 minutes of like doing this and trying to follow him,
and it was doing Dutch angles, and then it was doing like up shots and then downward shots.
Well, and then it would flip over,
and the camera did and they did the barrel roll shot, where the camera did the whole it did the spin like this, the barrel roll,
while the camera's still
the camera's turning while it's doing a loop, so it was doing this round long shot. It all happens within like a 20-minute section of the film, like straight. Like, lots of really awesome techniques that worked, but it was like a roller coaster ride. It made me sick. Like, there's got to be moments where you steady the cam. Like, you have to.
You have to
otherwise
give a
you
moment of breather.
Yes,
because it's like a roller coaster. Roller coasters are extremely intense, and then there's a moment of reprieve.
Yes,
and then there's a moment that you kind of start feeling it, and then it starts going again.
Yeah. There was no reprieve. It was just constant shaky cam, Dutch angle, upside down shot, barrel roll, Dutch angle, shaky cam. It was disorienting. And that was the point, to be disorienting. But you don't want to disorient your audience. You want to help us immerse ourselves in the character. But you don't want to do it so much that we want to throw up and not want to look at it anymore, because then we miss things.
Shaky cam is a very, very effective technique to show that something is off balance, off kilter, or the world in and of itself is unstable in some way. But the thing is that the shaky cam really needs to follow a principle of a roller coaster ride. If you're going to be really hyperactive and super intense with it, it has to be a very short ride. Yeah. If you want it to be a longer ride, you have to have more sweeps. It has to be more sweeping.
Or just a rock to it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of mess to that. And in my opinion, one of the best moments of the film is after he gets shot and he's in recovery and he's doing training and he's like mentally.
His Rocky montage.
Yeah, his Rocky montage. He's getting mentally, physically, emotionally like balanced. It's actually a really strong moment in the film because it's showing that he's getting himself back in order in all of his ways. He's getting his head straight. He's getting his rhythm down.
Yeah.
He's calming himself and he's getting back into being like a person again. And he's refocused on his mission. And it's like, okay, like this is really, really good. And then he goes in like ham, like into the place, which is like really good. But then as he goes up the levels, they kind of did it like one of those old Chinese martial arts films where like they go through a building and fight all the people, but not as good as those. The pacing in those is consistent throughout with a slightly higher difficulty. This one was weird because he walks in and easily dispatches people, then struggles suddenly, then easily dispatches, then struggles, then easily dispatches. You think he'd either slowly get fatigued and he'd get rougher as he goes up, but no, it's really inconsistent.
Yeah.
And then friends come in and help. That was a cool scene, but I don't know, the whole film just feels messy in a way that I can't fully articulate. It's just, the premise was really cool. There were so many good elements in this film. I think this is like one of those films like I wanted to do better. I actually almost gave it a 7. But part of the reason I give it a 5 is for consistency, because I'm going to be fair against this film with a lot of other films. One of the things I grade heavy on is technicality, and there's a lot of technical errors in this film. Bad shots, bad moments, confusing scene placements, bad positions of characters. There's a few scenes in here where the camera's making you focused on something when you should be focused over here. And just like missed opportunities about. A lot of moments where they could have given a little bit more where they didn't. Other scenes where they give too much where they should have held back. Just really confusing. Overall, not a bad, especially for a directorial review. It's a pretty solid premise and film. It just, execution-wise, there's some major just scrubbles that just pull it back for me. Yeah. And that's what hurt it mostly. Honestly, I also thought this was going to be something different. Based on the trailers, it felt like the Beekeeper, like a revenge, a clear revenge film.
It felt kind of rough and tumble, but with like a brighter atmosphere and a higher tempo.
Yes, that's the thing. This movie is real. I think
this film has high tempo action, but the overall actual like pacing and stuff of the film is actually very, very slow. It's a slow burning film with the high intensity, super bright kind of action scene, which doesn't really work super well because as a result you get a little bit of tonal whiplash.
Yes. And the music, the score is amazing throughout this whole film.
In parts.
But there are these certain moments where they use the wrong music for what's going on. There's a couple moments where like
they use comedic music
upbeat music.
Time.
They're using this comedic upbeat music when there's like a major fight scene happening, and then when there's like this really simple, like he's feeding a dog, it's this dark like dum 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 music, and you're like, what the heck?
Feeding the dog.
Yeah, he's like,
don't feed the dog.
It's like this epic like rabies. Deep music as he's doing random like daily things. There's some weird moments like that where they use music at a moment where it doesn't make sense to use it. Except for one point. There was a point where he's in the fight scene in the upper echelons and it's using this like jazzy fun like Bollywood music, but it works in that scene, and then it ups to when the other people show up, it turns into heavy metal.
That actually was
a really good transition of music. And that when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, that was cool. Where was that the rest of the movie we just watched?
Well, I think that's it. It has great scores and then it has awful scores. Like,
well, the music, I liked the music the entire film. I just, where the music was.
Yeah.
They used really good music in the wrong moments. It's like, it all sounds good. It just is a weird placement. Yeah. That was another one for me that got me. And it's just, it's depressing. I think what hurts me on this film more than everything we've talked about is the hopelessness of the movie. I talked about that a little bit in the beginning part, but what I mean by that is this guy is having a personal revenge story.
Right.
Which isn't compelling, but they keep showing how crappy, like, the environment is for everyone else, but nothing he's doing is going to fix it for those people. In fact, it may even make it worse. He's going to turn these people into martyrs, which are then going to cause even more problem for the people that he's trying. It's weird. Like, why show all these other people having horrible... Look how bad the people of India have it. Well, anyway, this guy's going to kill some people. It's not going to help them, but look how bad it is.
Well, and then he also just lets the guy go. Like, think about the face of the organization. Obviously, he's like a puppet ruler, but at the same time, it's like he does let him go. I'm sure he has other contacts, and he has other people that are willing to step in and fund the bill. So it is really one of those things where it feels very inconsequential, and that's the other reason that I said that this film kind of feels lost in the focus, is because it's like, sure, the Prophet does this stuff for like the factory, and he's like part of the 1% and all this stuff. Why is he like oppressing the people? Why is he building the factory there? Why are people like...
That's actually a good point. Beekeeper gave a why.
Yeah.
The kid did it to get his mom elected.
Exactly.
It was made clear what his motivations were. This guy has... Now, I get it. You don't always have to give motivation, but you have to give one of two things. You have to either give the motivation so that you either give them an understanding or a position they are in the world, or you have to give a good conclusion. You can have a villain where you don't understand the motivations as long as you show the results. They didn't show his motivations for being there, nor the results of his death.
Well, think about like...
Neither one. So he's inconsequential to the plot entirely.
Well, yeah, I mean,
other than his personal vendetta. But if that's the case, why show the plight of the people if nothing he does is going to solve it?
Well, yeah, and it's a thing too of like, you don't need to have a very clear villain. In fact, they can be a very mysterious villain up until the last scene. The last scene, though, they have to kind of explain like what their methodology is and why they are who they are. It's like
the cop guy was easy. He's just... His motivations are easy. They never give motivation. But you're right. For the Prophet guy, they never give his motivations for anything.
Well, no. And I was kind of expecting a thing of like Black Ops 2, where he's literally like the bad guy, right? He's set up as this big bad guy, and it turns out that he was just created, and he just let it roll. And so his whole thing is that he's just toppling down the social order because he got created. And he was just like, okay, we're going to see it to its inevitable conclusion, and no matter what, I win.
That's like, there was like Iron Man 3, the Mandarin, right?
Well, he was kind of, except...
Well, he was created, but for a purpose, like he was an actor. But the problem with this guy is it makes it clear he came up from nothing, and he joined society. Like, I get it. He gets power. He gets prestige. Sure, that makes sense. But what made him sell out? Because he was
him particularly.
Yes. Why did he sell out? And because there's a moment where he goes to the Monkey Man and he's like almost trying to convince him to like. It's like that join me moment. Like, hey, why are you cycle of violence? Hey, I can make you rich. I can give you whatever you want. Yeah. And it's like, Monkey Man didn't sell out. Why did he sell out? It's that moment where you see the old hero as the villain, but you never got to see him as the hero or his motivations for being where he's at. Okay, and then you miss an opportunity to show how his death solves anything. His you could see even when he kills both the guys that he doesn't feel any better. Like, we all know revenge does not make you feel better, and the movie makes that clear. Like, he gets like no real peace from it. Like, he dies. So he gets no peace. Nothing has changed. Nobody's lives are improved. What was the point?
What's that point?
That hurts me so bad. Like, and my last comment is just to hit that home. They show over and over again throughout the whole film, not just his past, what was done to him, but all the plight of all the other people around. They show a lot of people in suffering in bad situations. But one of the worst ones is that after he escapes from the cops, he goes through this like sex hotel place. And in one of the rooms where he's being attacked by the guy who owns it, there's a little girl in a sex dungeon. And you're just like, okay, I get it. Plays bad. How does that little girl's life get saved by this guy's actions? What does anything he do make anything better for any of these people? Why make me care about this person if nothing's... Okay, maybe...
Well, it shows the depths of the depravity of this society in and of itself.
Right, but that's a social commentary.
Right.
That's fine. Make a social commentary film. What you did, though, was you made a personal revenge film and threw the social commentary in it without any repercussion or any way of doing anything about it. Why even have it in there at all, then? If it's not going to matter to the film... I mean, if you just want people to watch a movie that they're going to watch, but then make a better film, and then put it in the background, and then we won't care. Like Godzilla, right? Godzilla fighting Kong, we don't care much about the people or the plight. We care about the monsters fighting. You can throw all kinds of fun social commentary in there, and we'll just suck it up because we only care about the kaiju fight. This movie did not make me not care about the plight of the people. It made me care about them, and then there was nothing we could do.
Maybe that's the ultimate dialogue of the film, DJ. The world sucks and nothing's going to get better.
That's what it felt like. I don't want to watch that film. That's why I gave it a 5. I watch movies to escape from that reality. I watch movies so I can see a world in a different perspective, not to see how bad things are in a completely other part of the world I can do nothing about because I don't exist in that society, nor do I have any power of any kind to affect it. And you gave me a poor revenge plot over the top of it that didn't make me care anymore. It was terrible.
And yet he still gave it a 5.
Because it was technically really good. That's why. Like, it
was technically really good, and it wasn't. Anyway. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have seen Monkey Man or what you thought about the review in general. We went a little longer than we normally do. We tend to
always go long with the
weird ones. Always go long with the bad films. Yes, DJ. You say it every time.
Because it's true.
Anyway, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys like these videos, we do new reviews every Saturday, so be sure to subscribe for more new movies. Otherwise, we will see you guys in the next video.
Thanks for watching.